Hello and welcome to the Horsemanship and Mindset podcast with your host, Kimberly Dunn of Idlewild Horsemanship and Mindset Coaching. This podcast is here to bring you the very best in tips, tricks, and advice to help you better understand yourself, your mindset, and your horse, because your horsemanship starts with you. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Horsemanship and Mindset podcast. I'm delighted to have you here today, and in this episode I'm going to tackle one of the most common beliefs that I hear from people, which is I've always been this way. I've always been anxious, I've never been confident, and that's just who I am. That is my personality. That's the way it's always been, and therefore that is the way that it always will be. And maybe you've said this to yourself. Maybe you've let this lack of confidence or just being a nervous person, maybe you've let it become part of your identity. And you've said to yourself, I'm just a nervous rider. That's never going to change. That's who I am. Now, the thing is with this is that this belief is not only completely untrue, it has actually been disproven by decades of science on the brain. So if you have been carrying that story, then this episode is going to be a real turning point for you. Hopefully, it's going to give you a bit of a shake and help you to understand that this is not you. This is not your personality. This is not your identity. Actually, your brain and your body are built to change. Science proves that. And I'm going to share how anxiety actually works in your nervous system. And I'm going to give you some practical steps that you can start today. And then also at the end of the episode, I'm going to share how I can support you inside the Enlightened Equestrian program, because you've been under a rock. That is starting very soon. And that work with that program is going to help you take things even deeper. So let's have a look at why you think you'll never change. So a lot of equestrians believe that their anxiety is permanent because they've just always felt like it. They've felt like it for years. Maybe they've had falls or scary incidents that have left lasting imprints from the past. Maybe they've been told by others, you're just not confident. You're just not very brave. And that's then sunk in and stayed with you, because if other people are saying it, then it must be true. I remember a specific conversation with a client at a clinic once, and I was talking to her about confidence, and she said to me, she was like, "Well, I've been like this for 40 years now, so it's not going to change, is it?" I was like, "But yes, it is going to change, and it can change." So yeah, it's so important for everyone to know and understand that while while just feeling that way for a certain amount of time, while being told by others feels like it's proof, actually, what it really is just repetition. So, neurons that fire together wire together. Okay, neurons are from your brain, by the way. And the more you replay a thought like, I can't handle this, I'm just an anxious person, I'm not confident, the more you think that, the more you replay and repeat it, the stronger that pathway becomes. Neurons that fire together wire together. So you're just deepening that pathway. The more you think it, the more you believe it, the more embedded that is going to become. Now, the wonderful thing about this is you're not doomed. You are not doomed. Your brain is not fixed. It's quote unquote plastic. You may or may not have heard of neuroplasticity. I do talk about this every now and then. And basically, there's a doctor called Dr. Norman Deutsch. I hope that's how you say his name. Who's the author of a book called The Brain That Changes Itself. So he showed through research that people that have had strokes or brain injuries can literally rewire functions into new areas of their brain. So just imagine that if a damaged brain can relearn how to walk or talk, just think what your brain can do. A healthy human rider's brain can absolutely relearn confidence, can absolutely learn to be calm, be relaxed, to just go and do things and for it to not be a drama. That is possible for you. And if you're listening to this and you still have that little block of like, nah, not for me, it won't work for me, I'm the only person this isn't going to work for, listen on. So let's look at the memory and fear. So, fear memories are stored in the amygdala, which is a little tiny almond shaped part of your brain, which is part of the limbic system. So, that's all kind of to do with your survival. Now, these memories are not permanent files, okay? They can be reconsolidated. And studies show that when you bring up one of those memories in a safe and new context, the brain can rewrite the emotional charge that's attached to it. So that's where really powerful techniques can come in, like hypnotherapy, things like EDMR, which is this is used a lot in trauma, where you see that a light passes from left to right in front of the eyes. That helps you to shut down the amygdala, which then helps you to unattach the emotion and those feelings of fear so that you can reprogram that old memory. It's really powerful stuff. Um, and that is why the techniques that I use, so the hypnotherapy, visualization, EFT, all of that stuff, that's why that, combined with safe exposure and breaking things down, basically working with me, that's why it works. Because you are teaching your brain this situation isn't dangerous anymore. You're teaching your brain, yes, this happened, but it doesn't have to keep bringing up those feelings in me. I can take the learnings from that thing that's happened, but I don't have to keep the emotions from it. I can actually go on and move on now. So that's one way that that really works. That is something that you can do for yourself. Obviously, I would always recommend, if not working with me, working with someone else that can help you do that. But that's just to give you an example of like, this is possible for you. So the other thing that is really, really helpful in change, is to know about your nervous system and nervous system regulation. And there's quite a few podcast episodes on this if you scroll back through. And this is one of the main areas. I have a few pillars that I work with people on, and this is one of them, is nervous system regulation. So just briefly, your autonomic nervous system, so basically things that happen automatically, has two main states. Your sympathetic, which is your fight and flight, survival mode. And that kicks in when you start thinking, oh, what if I fall off? Oh, what if I get knocked over? Oh, what if my horse bolts? And your heart races, your muscles tightens, your breathing shortens, and then you can't think properly. And then you have your parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest. And that's where you're calm, focused, connected, and you can learn, you can build confidence. This is a good place to be. So the thing is that chronic anxiety means that your nervous system gets stuck in high alert mode. When it's in high alert mode, you cannot problem solve, you cannot basically do anything that is helpful. But you can train your vagus nerve, which is the brake of the nervous system, through breathing, grounding, and other somatic tools to help you return to calm more quickly. So basically, you can train that muscle, your little calm down muscle, to strengthen so that things can happen around you, and you will always still have that survival mode come up because that's how you're going to stay alive. It's a very primal thing within us. But you can reduce the reaction time so that you have that moment to go, is this scary? Do I need to worry? Oh, no, I don't. I'm okay. Rather than flipping that switch straight into, oh my God, I'm going to die mode. And you can help your horses do this too, by the way. And that is something that we do in the Enlightened Equestrian program, as well as helping you. Um, so the ways that we can practice this is to practice nervous system regulation when you are already calm. So things like breath work, things like grounding, things like coming to your senses, doing all of those things when you're calm, installs those tools so that you can use them when you're not to help bring yourself back down and therefore exercise that "oh my god" muscle. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and a bit of a bonus fact for you. So, have you ever heard of epigenetics? This is a very cool and interesting um, thing that I am not an expert in. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but just to dip our toe. So, epigenetics. Even our genes are not destiny. Epigenetic science shows that environment, thoughts, and behaviors can switch genes on or off. So, in real time, for everyone who's never heard of epigenetics before, what this actually means is you may have inherited tendencies for anxiety. So you may have parents that are anxious, you may have grandparents, you may have great grandparents that are anxious. However, your lifestyle, your mindset, and your tools determine whether those tendencies express or whether they fade. So again, you might have inherited anxiety or reactivity, but this can be changed. So even if this is genetic, you have the power to change this. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Science, actual science, shows us again and again that you are not fixed. Your brain has the power and the capacity to rewire. Your body can reset itself. Your nervous system can be retrained. Anxiety is not, underline that several times, your identity. It's just a learned pattern, and learned patterns can change. I'm going to repeat that. Anxiety is not your identity. It is just a learned pattern, and learned patterns can change. Okay, so moving on from that then. How can we start creating change? So I don't want to just leave you with the, oh wow, yeah, maybe I can change without giving you some ways that you can go away and start creating change right now. So let's go. Number one, awareness. Name it to tame it. So neuroscience shows us that simply labeling a feeling, I notice that I'm anxious. I notice that I'm feeling scared. I notice that I'm feeling frustrated. Noticing it. Immediately, just the act of that decreases your amygdala activity. So that little fear center in the brain, even just noticing what's happening, that helps to calm it down a little bit. And that will then pull you out of that moment of being in autopilot and going into survival mode and into choice, which gives you that moment of being able to make a change. Okay. Which takes us nicely into number two, breath work and grounding. So, slow, deep breathing activates the vagus nerve, which helps to lower heart rate and cortisol levels. Okay. So, basically helps you calm down. So, a really simple way you can do this, breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And repeat while focusing on your feet in the stirrups, on your bum in the saddle, with your hands on the reins. Creating awareness of your body and your breathing will help to calm you. Number 3, visualization. So, again, I've talked about this before in other episodes. So, visualization is basically mental rehearsal, and it is so amazing for your mind, let me tell you. So, basically, mental rehearsal lights up the same neural circuits as the real activity does, which is quite incredible and yet again shows you the power of your mind. And research in sports psychology has shown that athletes who visualize success perform significantly better. Riders, equestrians are absolutely no different. So, whether you have a hack, whether you're just lunging, whether you're long reining, if you're at a competition, visualizing these things helps you to mentally rehearse for that thing. And your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So if you can visualize it and you can visualize it well, you can bring in all your senses, you can bring in all your feelings, you can bring in all the details of that thing, your brain thinks you've already done it, which helps to build your confidence and helps to rewire your brain. Magic, absolute magic, this stuff. Okay, number 4, small wins and micro exposure. You've heard me say it before, breaking it down and building it up is going to help you build that confidence. It's going to help you rewire your mind. It's also a really great way to train your horse. So each time you do something a tiny bit outside your comfort zone, so let's call this the stretch zone, successfully, your brain lays down a new confidence pathway. Okay. An example could be walking your horse out the gate calmly rather than straight away. So when I say walking your horse out of the gate calmly, let's say going out on a ride. So you can walk your horse out the gate, down to the end of the road, turn around and come back, rather than making yourself go out for an hour on a hack. Break it down, build it up. Number 5, repetition. So remember, neurons that wire together, fire together. So the more you practice calm, grounded responses, the stronger those pathways will get. So, over time, confidence becomes automatic instead of fear being automatic. I will repeat that. The more you practice calm, grounded responses, the stronger those pathways will get. Over time, your confidence will become automatic and your fear will not. I hope that makes sense. It's a good one, that one. Okay. So hopefully now you're getting an understanding of actually change is possible. And this is how I can go away and do this right now. So to conclude, you are not destined to be a nervous rider forever. You're not destined to not be a confident person. You are not destined. It's not your story to be scared all of the time. This is not your story. Neuroscience, psychology, and the experiences that I've had myself and with my clients all over the world show that change is absolutely possible. And you do not have to figure it out alone either. This is what I'm here for. This is why I leap out of bed in the morning. And this is exactly why I created the Enlightened Equestrian program. It's a step-by-step coaching program designed to help riders just like you rewire your mindset, regulate your nervous system, and rediscover joy with your horse. Oh my goodness, because it's so possible for you. So, inside the program, I will give you the tools and the empowerment to go and do this for yourself. Like, you don't have to lean on me. This is your moment. This is you facilitating this change for yourself. And I'm just here to guide you along. You'll have accountability inside there. You'll have tailored support. You'll have hypnotherapy, NLP, horsemanship, all of the things to help you create lasting change. We're not just about quick fixes here. We're about actual transformation to confidence, to empowerment, to loving life with your horse again, because that is waiting for you on the other side of this. So if you have been stuck in that belief of, I'll always be anxious, this is your sign. Click the link in the show notes or send me a DM on any of the socials, and I will get you started on the path to becoming that confident, connected rider you are meant to be. Because you're not meant to stay stuck. Let me tell you that for nothing. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, subscribe, rate, review. All of that stuff is so, so helpful in getting the podcast out there. And also, just to say as well, I am now on YouTube. So the podcast is now on YouTube, but also once a week, from this day forth, I am now doing a weekly tapping for equestrians over on YouTube. So if you haven't seen it yet, get over there, give it a watch, give it a like. Last time I checked, I had like 2 subscribers on YouTube, so I'd like to grow that. And if anyone has any suggestions for tappings that they'd like, especially for equestrians, let me know. Otherwise, that's all from me for this week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you found this episode helpful, and I will see you in the next one.